Part 1. Jesus and the Sand. The adulterous woman, John 8 verses 1 to 11. In the Gospel of John, chapter 8, we find a moment that is both striking and deeply meaningful. Jesus is teaching in the temple courts when a group of scribes and Pharisees interrupts him. They bring before him a woman caught in the act of adultery. According to the Mosaic law, such an offense was punishable by death through stoning. However, the situation was a trap for Jesus. If he condemned her, he would be upholding the law of Moses, but would risk losing his reputation as a teacher of mercy and love. On the other hand, if he spared her, he could be accused of defying the law, potentially undermining his authority as a spiritual leader. This dilemma placed Jesus in a seemingly impossible position. In response to this challenge, Jesus does something extraordinary. He bends down and begins to write in the sand with his finger. The content of his writing remains a mystery, as the Gospel does not record what he wrote. This deliberate act of silence shifts the focus from the woman's sin to the accusers themselves. After some time, Jesus stands and delivers his famous statement, "Let any one of you who is without sin be the first to throw a stone at her." These words pierced the hearts of the accusers. Convicted by their own sins, they began to leave one by one, starting with the eldest. When they were all gone, Jesus turns to the woman and asks, "Woman, where are they? Has no one condemned you?" She replies, "No one, sir." Jesus then declares, "Then neither do I condemn you. Go now and leave your life of sin." This story is layered with profound meaning. The act of writing in the sand symbolizes the impermanence of human judgment. Sand, easily disturbed and reshaped, reflects how fleeting our judgments and opinions can be. By writing in sand, Jesus subtly reminds the crowd that their accusations and condemnations are not permanent or absolute. Jesus' words, "Let the one without sin cast the first stone," turn the situation into a moment of self-reflection for the accusers. His silent act of writing forces them to confront their own sins rather than focusing on the sins of the woman. The eventual dispersal of the crowd illustrates the power of humility and introspection. The lesson from this event is multifaceted. Firstly, it teaches the importance of self-awareness and the acknowledgement of our own flaws before judging others. Secondly, it underscores the transformative power of compassion and forgiveness. Jesus forgives the woman, but he also encourages her to change her life, showing that mercy is not a license for wrongdoing but an opportunity for redemption. Ultimately, this moment reveals the heart of Jesus' ministry, one that prioritizes grace, redemption, and love over legalism and condemnation. His use of sand as a medium conveys a universal truth that divine mercy transcends human judgment, and no one is beyond redemption. Part 2. Buddha and the Sand. Teaching impermanence. Gautama Buddha, much like Jesus, used simple yet profound actions to teach eternal truths. In one such teaching, Buddha used sand as a tool to address the impermanence of emotions and the futility of holding on to anger. This story unfolds as a disciple, overcome with rage after a dispute, seeks the Buddha's guidance. The disciple asks, "How can I overcome this anger that burns within me?" Buddha does not respond with a lengthy discourse. Instead, he bends down, writes in the sand, and inscribes a message. "This anger is fleeting." He then wipes away the writing with a gentle sweep of his hand and says to the disciple, "Just as this writing disappears, so too will your anger. Holding on to it only prolongs your suffering. Let it go." This simple act carries a profound lesson. Buddha demonstrates that anger, like words written in sand, is impermanent. It arises and dissipates, often leaving no lasting impact unless we cling to it. By using the sand, Buddha illustrates the transient nature of all emotions, reminding the disciple that anger, no matter how intense, will eventually fade if allowed to. The symbolism here is powerful. 1. Impermanence. Sand represents the ever-changing nature of life. Buddha's action reminds us that nothing, whether emotions, struggles, or attachments, is permanent. Just as the writing in the sand vanishes, so too do the moments of anger or sadness we experience. 2. Letting go. By physically erasing the writing, Buddha demonstrates the act of release. He shows the disciple that holding on to anger only prolongs suffering, while letting it go paves the way for peace. 3. Accessibility of wisdom. The choice of sand reflects Buddha's teaching style: simple, relatable, and universal. Sand is an everyday material, reinforcing that profound wisdom is often found in simplicity. The disciple, witnessing this act, begins to understand that his anger is not a permanent state. By clinging to it, he prolongs his suffering, creating unnecessary turmoil in his life. Buddha's teaching encourages the disciple to let go of his attachment to anger, realizing that its hold on him is temporary and within his power to release. This lesson also ties into one of Buddhism's central tenets, the nature of impermanence, anicca. According to Buddhist philosophy, everything in life is transient. Emotions, possessions, relationships, and even life itself. Suffering arises when we resist this truth and cling to things as if they are unchanging. The broader implication of Buddha's lesson is that our emotional states, anger, fear, sadness, are not definitive of who we are. They are passing experiences, much like waves on the ocean or words written in sand. By observing their impermanence and choosing to let them go, we free ourselves from their grip and step closer to inner peace. This teaching, though simple, is transformative. It invites us to view our emotions as temporary visitors rather than permanent residents in our minds. By practicing detachment and mindfulness, we can transcend emotional turbulence and embrace a state of serenity, much like the Buddha himself. Part 3. Comparing Jesus and Buddha's use of sand. Both Jesus and Buddha employed sand in their teachings to convey profound spiritual truths, but the contexts and lessons they imparted differ in focus and application. By examining their actions side by side, we gain a deeper understanding of their unique approaches to teaching universal values such as compassion, impermanence, and self-awareness. The use of sand as a medium. 1. Jesus' perspective, transcendent judgment. In the story of the adulterous woman, Jesus writes in the sand while facing a crowd ready to condemn. His writing emphasizes the fleeting nature of human judgment and condemnation. By choosing sand as his canvas, Jesus demonstrates that human opinions and accusations lack permanence when held against divine mercy. The act of writing and letting it be erased by time or the elements underscores the lesson that ultimate judgment belongs to God, not humanity. 2. Buddha's perspective, transcendent emotions. Buddha's use of sand addresses the impermanence of internal struggles, such as anger or sorrow. By inscribing words in the sand and erasing them, Buddha shows that emotions are temporary. His teaching focuses on the idea that clinging to such fleeting feelings only prolongs suffering. The sand serves as a visual reminder of life's impermanence, urging individuals to embrace change and let go of attachments. While Jesus' use of sand speaks to interpersonal dynamics, focusing on forgiveness and mercy, Buddha's use emphasizes intrapersonal reflection, urging detachment and mindfulness in the face of life's impermanence. The role of silence and action. Both figures choose actions over lengthy explanations in these moments, allowing the act of writing in the sand to speak volumes. Jesus' silence. By silently writing, Jesus redirects the accuser's attention inward, inviting them to reflect on their own sins. This nonverbal act diffuses the heated confrontation, creating space for introspection and humility. His actions carry an unspoken message. Self-reflection must precede judgment of others. Buddha's gesture. Buddha's erasure of the sand's writing is a deliberate act of release. This simple action exemplifies how to let go of attachments, a core principle of his teachings. His quiet demonstration speaks to the transformative power of mindfulness and intentionality. Both figures use silence and simplicity to amplify their teachings, encouraging their followers to draw their own insights rather than passively receiving instruction. Core themes explored. 1. Compassion and forgiveness. Jesus' act of writing in the sand and forgiving the adulterous woman reflects a profound message of mercy. He doesn't condone her sin, but offers her a path to redemption, embodying divine love. Buddha's teaching on letting go of anger demonstrates compassion for oneself and others. By releasing anger, individuals free themselves from its corrosive effects, creating a ripple of peace that benefits their relationships and communities. 2. Impermanence and detachment. Buddha's emphasis on impermanence, illustrated by the sand, is central to his teachings. Life's transient nature demands that we practice detachment to achieve inner peace. Jesus' use of sand also hints at impermanence, particularly in human judgment. He shifts focus from temporal concerns to eternal truths, emphasizing grace and humility over rigidity. 3. Self-reflection. Both Jesus and Buddha call for self-awareness. Jesus challenges the crowd to examine their own sins before condemning another, while Buddha invites his followers to recognize the impermanence of emotions and attachments. In both cases, personal transformation begins with introspection. Lessons for modern life. In our fast-paced, judgment-prone society, the teachings of Jesus and Buddha remain profoundly relevant. Jesus' story reminds us to temper judgment with compassion, extending grace to others as we would wish to receive it ourselves. Meanwhile, Buddha's lesson urges us to release the burdens of anger and attachment, embracing a life of mindfulness and serenity. Their use of sand, a simple and ephemeral medium, highlights the importance of humility, impermanence, and introspection. These teachings encourage us to shift our focus from transient conflicts and emotions to deeper, more enduring spiritual truths. Part 4. Universal Lessons from Writing in the Sand. The symbolic act of writing in the sand, as demonstrated by both Jesus and Buddha, transcends religious and cultural boundaries. Their teachings resonate universally, offering timeless wisdom applicable to modern life. By analyzing these lessons, we can uncover profound truths about forgiveness, impermanence, mindfulness, and self-awareness. 1. The transience of human experience. Both Jesus and Buddha use sand, a fragile, ever-shifting medium, to illustrate the impermanence of life and human experiences. Impermanence and forgiveness. Jesus' act of writing in the sand reflects the transient nature of human judgment. The Pharisees' accusations against the adulterous woman seemed final, but Jesus' actions reminded them, and us, that such judgments hold no lasting power. As his words faded from the sand, they symbolize the fleeting nature of condemnation and the enduring importance of grace. Impermanence in emotions. Buddha's lesson highlights the ephemeral nature of emotions like anger. By writing in the sand and erasing it, he demonstrates that holding on to such feelings only prolongs suffering. The act of wiping away the writing signifies the power of release, encouraging individuals to let go of emotional burdens. Both teachings call for acceptance of impermanence, urging us to focus on what truly matters: love, forgiveness, and inner peace. 2. Self-awareness as the key to growth. Self-awareness forms a cornerstone of the lessons from Jesus and Buddha. Jesus' challenge to the accusers, when Jesus says, "Let the one without sin cast the first stone," he calls for introspection. The accusers, initially focused on the woman's sin, are forced to examine their own flaws. This moment of self-awareness leads them to walk away, abandoning their intent to punish. Buddha's invitation to reflection, by showing the disciple that anger, like words written in sand, is impermanent, Buddha encourages a shift in perspective. He teaches that emotions are not fixed truths, but passing states that can be observed and released. Self-awareness is the first step toward mastering such emotions. In both cases, self-awareness is portrayed as a transformative tool that fosters humility, compassion, and growth. 3. The power of forgiveness and letting go. Forgiveness and the act of releasing negativity are central themes in both teachings. Jesus and divine forgiveness. Jesus forgives the adulterous woman, embodying divine mercy. His actions show that forgiveness is not about ignoring wrongdoing, but about providing an opportunity for transformation. He tells her, "Go now and leave your life of sin," balancing compassion with accountability. Buddha and letting go of anger. Buddha's lesson on impermanence ties directly to the act of letting go. Anger, he teaches, is like a fire that burns the one who holds it. By releasing anger, we free ourselves from its destructive effects and create space for peace. Both figures demonstrate that forgiveness, whether directed at others or ourselves, is a liberating force that promotes healing and spiritual growth. 4. Simplicity as a path to profound wisdom. The choice of sand as a teaching tool highlights the simplicity of these lessons. Universal accessibility. Sand is a humble, everyday material, symbolizing the accessibility of spiritual truths. Jesus and Buddha both use common, unassuming elements to deliver profound messages, emphasizing that wisdom is not reserved for the elite but is available to everyone. The beauty of subtlety. The act of writing in sand is subtle yet impactful. Both figures allow the audience to draw their own conclusions, fostering personal reflection rather than imposing ideas. This teaching style invites engagement and encourages individuals to internalize the lessons on their own terms. 5. Bridging the gap between inner and outer worlds. Jesus and Buddha's teachings reveal the interconnectedness of our internal states and external actions. Jesus' focus on external judgments. By addressing the crowd's desire to judge the woman, Jesus emphasizes the need to align our outward actions with inward humility and compassion. Buddha's focus on inner emotions. Buddha's teaching addresses the internal battle of emotions, showing that mastering our inner world leads to harmonious relationships in the outer world. Together, these lessons create a holistic framework for living, a balance between self-awareness, forgiveness, and mindful interaction with others. Application in modern life. The universal lessons of writing in the sand are particularly relevant today. In a world filled with quick judgments, social media outrage, and emotional turmoil, these teachings remind us to reflect on our own shortcomings before condemning others. 2. Embrace impermanence, knowing that both challenges and emotions will pass. 3. Practice forgiveness and compassion in our daily interactions. 4. Let go of anger and negativity to cultivate inner peace. By internalizing these principles, we can navigate life's complexities with grace and wisdom, embodying the timeless truths taught by Jesus and Buddha. Part 5. Lessons for Personal Transformation. The actions of Jesus and Buddha, writing in the sand, carry profound lessons for personal transformation. These teachings address core aspects of human experience, emotions, judgment, forgiveness, and impermanence, guiding individuals toward a path of self-discovery and spiritual growth. By internalizing their lessons, we can transform our lives and relationships in meaningful ways. 1. Mastering the power of self-reflection. Both Jesus and Buddha invite us to look inward, encouraging self-awareness as the foundation for personal transformation. Jesus' call to examine ourselves. When Jesus challenges the crowd, Let the one without sin cast the first stone. He shifts their focus from external judgment to internal reflection. This moment is pivotal. It stops the crowd from acting out of self-righteousness and compels them to confront their own flaws. This teaches us that before we criticize others, we must honestly assess our own actions and intentions. Buddha's emphasis on observing emotions. Buddha's teaching on impermanence urges us to observe, rather than react to, our emotions. When anger arises, instead of being consumed by it, we are encouraged to recognize it as a passing state. This detachment fosters self-mastery, enabling us to respond with clarity and wisdom rather than impulsivity. Self-reflection transforms our lives by fostering humility, improving relationships, and helping us make decisions rooted in wisdom rather than ego. 2. The art of letting go. One of the most liberating lessons from these stories is the power of letting go, of anger, judgment, and attachment. Letting go of anger. Buddha's erasure of the writing in the sand symbolizes the act of releasing anger. Clinging to negative emotions only prolongs suffering, much like holding on to a burning coal harms the holder. By letting go, we free ourselves to experience peace and clarity. Letting go of judgment. Jesus' act of writing in the sand demonstrates the transient nature of judgment. Just as his writing fades, so too should our tendency to judge others harshly. By relinquishing judgment, we create space for compassion and understanding, both toward ourselves and others. Letting go is not about ignoring challenges, but about releasing unnecessary burdens, enabling us to focus on what truly matters. 3. Embracing impermanence. Life is in constant flux, a truth both Jesus and Buddha emphasize in their teachings. Buddha's teaching on change. The impermanence of the writing in the sand reflects the transient nature of all things, emotions, possessions, relationships, and even life itself. Buddha reminds us that clinging to what is impermanent causes suffering. Instead, we are called to accept change with grace and adapt to life's flow. Jesus' emphasis on grace over permanence. Jesus' writing in the sand shows that even societal judgments and laws, while important, are not the ultimate truth. God's grace transcends human constructs, reminding us to focus on eternal values rather than temporary concerns. Embracing impermanence helps us navigate life's ups and downs with resilience, finding beauty and meaning in the present moment. 4. Forgiveness as a transformative force. Forgiveness is central to the lessons of both Jesus and Buddha, serving as a powerful tool for personal and relational transformation. Jesus and divine forgiveness. Jesus' act of forgiving the adulterous woman is a profound example of mercy. He neither condones her actions nor condemns her, instead offering her a path to redemption. This demonstrates that forgiveness is not about excusing wrongdoing, but about giving others the opportunity to change and grow. Buddha's compassionate release. By erasing the anger written in sand, Buddha teaches us to forgive ourselves and others. Harboring resentment harms us more than those we are angry with. Forgiveness allows us to move forward, unburdened by past grievances. When we forgive, we free ourselves from the chains of bitterness and pave the way for healing and reconciliation. 5. Simplicity in profound truths. The medium of sand, a simple, everyday element, reveals the accessibility of spiritual truths, universality of wisdom. Both Jesus and Buddha use sand, a material available to everyone, to communicate profound lessons. This simplicity emphasizes that spiritual growth is not reserved for the elite, but is within reach for all who seek it. Visual power of simplicity. The act of writing and erasing in sand creates a vivid, memorable image. This tactile approach engages the senses, reinforcing the lesson in a way that resonates deeply. In our modern lives, we often seek complicated solutions to life's challenges. These teachings remind us that simplicity can lead to the most profound insights. 6. Living with compassion and mindfulness. Both Jesus and Buddha exemplify compassion and mindfulness in their teachings. Compassion in action. Jesus' forgiveness of the adulterous woman and Buddha's guidance to the angry disciple reflect deep compassion. Their actions encourage us to approach others with empathy, understanding their struggles rather than judging them harshly. Mindfulness in every moment. Buddha's teaching on impermanence emphasizes the importance of being present. Mindfulness allows us to fully experience life, free from the distractions of regret about the past or anxiety about the future. Compassion and mindfulness are transformative practices that enhance our relationships, decision-making, and overall well-being. Application in everyday life. These lessons guide us toward a life of greater peace, wisdom, and fulfillment. Reflect before reacting. Pause to consider your own flaws before judging others. 2. Release negativity. Let go of anger, grudges, and attachments to find freedom. 3. Accept change. Embrace life's impermanence with grace and adaptability. 4. Practice forgiveness. Extend mercy to yourself and others, fostering healing and growth. Simplify your approach. Seek profound truths in the ordinary and accessible. 6. Live mindfully and compassionately. Engage with the present moment and treat others with kindness. Through these teachings, Jesus and Buddha offer a timeless blueprint for personal transformation that continues to inspire and guide us in our journey toward a more meaningful life. Part 6. How these teachings unite humanity across faiths. The stories of Jesus and Buddha writing in the sand showcase a profound spiritual connection that transcends individual religions, uniting humanity through shared values. Though their teachings originated in different cultures and historical contexts, their actions reflect universal truths about compassion, forgiveness, humility, and mindfulness. These truths serve as bridges between faiths, highlighting how spiritual wisdom can foster unity among diverse traditions. 1. The universality of compassion. Compassion is a cornerstone of both Christianity and Buddhism. Jesus' compassion for the woman. By refusing to condemn the adulterous woman, Jesus demonstrates God's boundless compassion. His actions remind us that divine love transcends human sin, encouraging us to extend the same grace to others. Jesus' compassion does not negate accountability, but transforms it into an opportunity for growth. Buddha's compassion for the angry disciple. Buddha's lesson to the disciple consumed by anger is rooted in compassion. He teaches not through reprimand but by gently guiding the disciple towards self-awareness and inner peace. His compassion is a model for how we can address others' pain without judgment. Both figures emphasize that compassion is not limited to any one group or belief system. It is a universal language that fosters understanding and unity. 2. Shared emphasis on forgiveness. Forgiveness is a unifying theme across religions, and both Jesus and Buddha elevate it to a spiritual practice. Forgiveness in Jesus' teaching. Jesus' refusal to condemn the woman illustrates the power of forgiveness to transform lives. He sets an example for his followers, showing that true strength lies in mercy rather than retribution. His actions encourage believers to forgive others as they have been forgiven by God. Forgiveness in Buddha's lesson. By showing that anger, like writing in the sand, is impermanent, Buddha teaches the value of letting go of resentment. Forgiveness in Buddhism is not only about freeing others, but also about liberating oneself from the chains of negative emotions. These shared teachings show how forgiveness can heal individuals and communities, bridging divides between people of different faiths. 3. Humility as a common ground. Humility is a spiritual virtue central to both Jesus and Buddha's teachings. Jesus' demonstration of humility. By kneeling to write in the sand, Jesus places himself in a position of quiet authority, deflecting attention from himself and allowing the crowd to focus on their own introspection. His humility disarms the accusers and creates an environment conducive to reflection and change. Buddha's embodiment of humility. Buddha's choice to teach through simple, relatable examples, like writing in sand, reflects his deep humility. He does not impose his wisdom, but invites his followers to discover it within themselves. Both leaders use humility as a tool to inspire and guide others, showing that true wisdom lies in serving others with grace and simplicity. 4. Mindfulness as a path to unity. Mindfulness, or the practice of being fully present, is a shared value in both traditions. Mindfulness in Jesus' actions. Jesus' deliberate act of writing in the sand demonstrates his mindfulness. Instead of reacting impulsively to the Pharisees' challenge, he takes time to think, creating space for a thoughtful and transformative response. Mindfulness in Buddha's teaching. Buddha's lesson about impermanence underscores the importance of living in the present moment. By observing emotions without attachment, we cultivate peace and clarity, enabling us to act with intention rather than reactivity. Mindfulness connects people across faiths, offering a universal practice for finding inner peace and fostering harmonious relationships. 5. The use of symbolism in teaching. The symbolic act of writing in sand highlights how Jesus and Buddha used relatable, everyday elements to convey profound truths. Jesus' symbolism of transience. The temporary nature of the writing in sand reflects the impermanence of judgment and the enduring nature of grace. This symbolism resonates universally, reminding us that what truly matters are the eternal values of love and forgiveness. Buddha's symbolism of release. By writing anger in the sand and erasing it, Buddha demonstrates that negative emotions are not permanent. His symbolism teaches us to release what no longer serves us, creating space for peace and joy. The use of simple, powerful symbols creates a common ground for understanding, making their teachings accessible to people of all backgrounds. 6. Bridging cultures through shared values. The teachings of Jesus and Buddha reveal striking parallels that transcend cultural and religious boundaries. Forgiveness, compassion, and love. These values are central to both Christianity and Buddhism, forming a shared moral foundation that unites followers of different faiths. The role of personal responsibility. Both Jesus and Buddha emphasize the importance of individual reflection and accountability. Their teachings encourage us to look inward, fostering personal transformation as a means to contribute to the greater good. Unity in diversity. While their approaches differ, the core messages of Jesus and Buddha demonstrate that spiritual wisdom is not confined to any one tradition. Their teachings inspire interfaith dialogue and mutual respect, showing that diversity can be a source of strength rather than division. Application to modern interfaith understanding. In today's world, where cultural and religious divides often lead to conflict, the shared lessons of Jesus and Buddha serve as a reminder of our common humanity. Their teachings encourage us to embrace compassion across differences, extend kindness and empathy to people of all backgrounds. 2. Practice forgiveness. Let go of resentment and work toward reconciliation. 3. Foster humility. Approach others with respect and openness, recognizing the value of their perspectives. 4. Cultivate mindfulness. Be present in your interactions, focusing on what unites rather than divides. Seek common ground. Highlight shared values to build bridges between communities. By embodying these principles, we can honor the legacies of Jesus and Buddha, contributing to a more peaceful and harmonious world. Conclusion. The act of writing in the sand by Jesus and Buddha is a profound metaphor for life's impermanence, the importance of compassion, and the liberation that comes with letting go. These simple yet powerful actions invite us to pause, reflect, and embrace the transient nature of our existence. By applying these lessons in our lives, we can find peace, understanding, and a deeper connection to the divine truths that transcend time and culture. Let the next grain of sand you see remind you of the wisdom etched in its fleeting patterns. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you found the insights into the teachings of Jesus and Buddha meaningful and inspiring. If you enjoyed this content, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking videos. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, stay mindful, compassionate, and connected. Thank you.